Hello and welcome back to another On the Rest Debate and to another edition of Raw Out of 10. We got a big episode of Raw tonight with Brock Lesnar attacking Cody Rhodes with a steel chair. Well, we got new women's tag team champs. We also had a big tag title match in the main event, as well as a big rematch tease between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. So yeah, a lot going on, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. And Cody kicked off Raw and said that Brock Shadow has been looming over him for a while. He called Lesnar out and wanted an answer for the SummerSlam challenge. Cody's mum was in the front row and Brock's music hit, but no one showed up at first. Brock came out with a steel chair and attacked Cody from backstage before hitting an F5 at ringside and locking in a Kimura lock once on the floor and then again in the ring. Lesnar got some more chair shots before he accepted the challenge and left the ring. So yeah, this was brutal Brock at his absolute best here, setting up the match at SummerSlam. I think we all kind of knew this was coming at some point. We get something like this and it leads to SummerSlam match. And yeah, it's the perfect way to end off the feud, which has been a really entertaining one. And yeah, I think maybe Cody should get the win at SummerSlam, but yeah, good way to set it up. But yeah, moving on then to the first match tonight, and that's Gunther v Riddle. The two traded holds early, and Gunther sent Riddle into corner 4, hitting some shots. Riddle broke out of a sleeper hold before the match headed outside, and Gunther got a big suplex on the floor. Riddle came back with some big strikes in the ring before taking Gunther down with a high kick. They traded chops before Riddle got an exploded suplex. Gunther came back with a German before Riddle came back with his floating bro. Gunther got his knees up for the dive and hit the powerbomb for the win. And yeah, this gets a 7 out of 10 for me. This is a really, really entertaining match, I have to say. Obviously, we've seen it quite recently, but yeah, Gunther just continued on his absolute streak of destroying everyone on the Raw roster, and it was another really, really solid match. I have to say, and just loving what both these two are doing at the moment. But Rhea Ripley then attacked Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan backstage, and Raquel seemed to have injured her knee in the process, so hopefully she's okay. But yeah, the Judgment Day were out next, and Rhea hyped up Dominic's title match against Wesley on NXT this week. Priest reminded us that he was still Mr. Money in the Bank before Balor said he was still after the heavyweight title. KO and Sami showed up to interrupt and said that no one wants to hear the Judgment Day speak. Damien challenged them to a tag team title match, and the duo accepted it after KO had another little tantrum. I don't know. Obviously, this is a really good segment setting up a match between two of the best teams in WWE at the moment, but I still feel like there is lingering tensions with both of these teams, and yeah, maybe it could end up somewhere at some point. But moving on into the women's tag title match, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the champions, obviously taking Chelsea and Sonya on. Deville was in control early on against Morgan, and Green was tagged in and hit a double team suplex on Morgan before Deville came back with some strikes. Raquel was tagged in and threw Deville into turnbuckles. Deville dodged a big tackle in the corner, before locking in a hold on the injured leg of Rodriguez. Morgan came in to break the hold before tagging and hitting the Oblivion on Green for an earful. Rodriguez was at ringside and Deville continued to go after the leg, using the apron to her advantage. Back in the ring, Morgan went after Deville, but Green came back with her finisher and picked up the win. And yeah, this gets 7 out of 10 for me. The title change I did not see coming, but I really like Sonya and Chelsea as a team. So yeah, I'm really not against it. And obviously, the face had a bit of an excuse as well, and they can go after it again. But yeah, I'm sure some favour. Seth Rollins was there in a backstage interview when Finn Balor showed up and asked for a rematch before making some vague threats to the champion. Seth told him to take a shot or get out of his face, and Balor left at first before coming back to attack Rollins. You think this is all setting up a match at SummerSlam, which to be honest I'm looking forward to. Before it's time for Viking v Alpha Academy in a Viking Rules match on Raw. Alpha attacked the Viking Raiders before the bell, and after Eric and Gable officially started the match, Chad managed to get an ankle lock in. Tables came out early and Otis got a massive toss on Ivar as the match went on. We then got a big dive from Ivar before Gable broke up the pin with a moonsault. Max then got in the ring and helped Gable clear the Vikings out before Valhalla came in and speared her through a table in the corner. The Vikings came back with the advantage, but Otis came in and smashed them against each other with a powerbomb. Otis then hit a worm/elbow drop, but Valhalla interfered before he could get the finisher. The Raiders then got a double powerbomb off the distraction and got the win. And yeah, this gets 7 out of 10 for me. The Viking Raiders obviously winning in their own special little match, but I mean, it was something different, really entertaining. I'm really enjoying this feud as well. Something on the undercard, good stuff. So yeah, different format and yeah, really enjoyable. So it gets 7 out of 10 from me. Next up on Raw, it's time for Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross. Baszler took Cross out right off the bat and locked in her trademark carry through the clutch before picking up the win in seconds. Before Ronda showed up in the stands and said that she wasn't given anything at WWE and seized her opportunity she got. Ronda called Baszler out for a knockout version of herself before Shayna said that she challenged and was better than Ronda and challenged her to a match. Rousey denied the challenge before Baszler ran her into the crowd. Rousey instead called for a SummerSlam match before walking out. It kind of felt like a long-winded way of getting to it. Poor Nikki Cross. firstly. But yeah, this feud, I don't know, I kind of like to see a bit more squash match and then stuff afterwards. So yeah, 5 out of 10. Becky Lynch was out next as a guest on the Miz's talk show, Miz TV. Miz brought out the man's losses and she flipped out before destroying the Miz TV set. Becky yelled at Miz to bring Trish out because she knew how the show worked. Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark came out and Stratus said that she was done with Becky and moving on to better things. Becky kept taunting Stratus and finally the latter agreed to the match but under some conditions. Trish said that if Becky had to beat Zoe first and if she loses, Lynch would have to get on her knees and say thank you Trish, while also tattooing it on herself. Becky accepted the challenge for a brawl broke out and Lynch stole Trish's mask before getting a headbutt on Zoe with it. So yeah, I don't know, this was good stuff, kind of way of testing out the Miz TV formula. Kind of always seems to work. It's WWE's go-to, and yeah, this was the right format here. I like Trish and Zoe as heels, and yeah, Becky as a face isn't bad as well. So yeah, on the whole, good stuff. Next up on Raw, it was Bronson Reed versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Reed was in control early and took Nakamura into the corner. Shinsuke came back with some kicks and Reed tackled him and they both dropped outside the ring. Reed was then sent into the ring post before Nakamura hit some strikes. Reed came back with a Death Valley driver before getting a near fall. Ciampa came out of nowhere and attacked Bronson, earning Shinsuke a DQ. Nakamura attacked Ciampa and took him out with a kick before walking away. And Jen, this gets a 6 out of 10 from me. I don't know, not a bad match. I would have liked to see it end in a proper win, but I don't know, I kind of had the feeling it wouldn't happen. But, you know, for this match, it wasn't bad stuff at all. I think WWE has plans in mind for both these two. It was then time for our main event, Sami and KO versus Damian and Dom for the tag team titles. Rollins attacked Balor as the match began and chased him backstage. The Judgment Day were in control in the ring and isolated Sami early on. Zayn managed to get the tag and suddenly Dominic was in trouble as KO hit him with a senton and a splash in a corner for a near fall. Rhea then ran the distraction, allowing Dom to get back with a baseball slide before Priest got checked on the apron. Owen got some big clotheslines at ringside before getting a big splash on Priest on the apron. KO then got a cannonball on Priest in the ring but missed the senton. Sami came back and sent Priest outside before Dominic sent Zayn outside. Dom was almost pinned by KO but Priest came back to break it up. Sami tagged in and got a big DDT before Priest came back with Poison Rana as a near fall. Priest was then sent outside again before Dom came in with a dropkick and was tossed outside as well. Sami and KO hit dives to the outside before Rhea took KO out at ringside. The distraction allowed Priest to get a near fall before Liv Morgan got a retaliation attacking Rhea. Morgan took Rhea out and sent her over the barricade before Dom took the Blue Thunder Bomb before Sami and KO picked up the win. And yeah, all a bit chaotic at the moment. But yeah, it gets 7 out of 10 from me. I think the tag team champions winning as well also kind of sets up Rhea's next year, which is much needed as well. Played into all the storylines, and of course was a very good match between these two teams. And yeah, I think it could do still for the tension in Judgment Day still. So yeah, on the whole, it gets 7 out of 10 from me. Loved it. Good stuff. Overall, Raw this week gets 7 out of 10 from me. I thought it was a really, really good episode of Raw this week. I have to say, probably one of the best Raws in a while. You know, just the quality of action throughout the card. I feel like things are really hotting up now as we approach SummerSlam, as it gets ever closer and closer. So yeah, on the whole, it gets 7 out of 10 from me. This was really, really good stuff. But anyway, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and any thoughts, comments, and video for daily wrestling news and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.